Hey, welcome to Coaching with Tally. What if I could prove to you that you have the capacity to train your brain and use that to create a life that you love living? You love living. A life that is filled with abundance, a life that is really clear on what you care about. So we're in a series right now all about increasing abundance in your life. And today I want to talk about how you can train your brain to begin to step you into creating a life of greater abundance. But this tool can be used for any area of your life. My name is Tally, and I'm a life and personal development coach, and I work with leaders to create lives of overflowing impact in the world that are centered in a place of joy, getting you aligned to who it is you most truly are, get you firing on all cylinders, and creating a life that you love living, that can be in overflow to the world, impacting other people, and just absolutely loving what it is that you do. So I was sitting with a client just a little bit ago. We were out by the pool, and we were working on specifically her area of career and calling. And just like in this space of if anything were possible, anything was possible. If like there weren't money restrictions, time restrictions, if you could just do anything that you wanted to do, bring like the best use of you into the world, what would you create? What would it look like? Let's paint the picture. And I really try and get my clients outside of the box of like, this is not like coloring in a coloring book inside the lines. This is like finger painting. It's just like you have this huge blank space and all the colors, and there is no right or wrong. There's just play. Just let yourself go, and what would you create? You could create anything that you want. And there's something about doing that focuses your brain into this like, ooh, possibility. It's like anything's possible. If you knew you couldn't fail, if you didn't have all the restrictions that you put on yourself that have you in this little tiny box that you feel like you have to live in, if you could just break out of that and just play in this space of possibility for a little bit, what would you create? And there's something really powerful about you giving your space to create in this place of possibility, because we get ourselves into these very restricted little areas that we think we have to stay in, and all of us do this in different ways to different degrees, but it's part of just the way that we are wired as humans for probability, for security. We end up keeping ourselves a lot smaller than we need to be. But when we can get our brains going in a direction that is like possibility, so much opens up, and it's really, really powerful when you can allow yourself to pull back focus on like these micro places that we tend to give our attention to, and you can almost like a movie, like somebody who's running a video camera, and they can kind of pull view on a scene, and you can see so much more of what's going on. You get a lot bigger picture. It's interesting, there's a Harvard study. They did this, I think it was Harvard that did this particular thing. It was listed in an article. I'll tell you, actually I can't tell you. I had all of my notes for this whole thing all printed up with statistics and names and all kinds of stuff. And I went to put it on my stand, and the entire thing erased, and I couldn't get it back. I tried on 3 different devices to get it back. So this is all from memory, what we can remember. So I don't have the person's name off the top of my head, but it was fascinating. You may have seen this. There's a YouTube video where they say, so the objective of this next few seconds of video clip, I want you to pay attention to how many times the basketball gets passed between the people wearing white. And so you're like counting, you're watching this video and you're focused in, you have your attention on this one objective. And in the middle of it, this gorilla, like person in a gorilla suit, comes walking in the middle of it and like looks at the camera and like does some kind of funny little thing and then walks off stage. And when you are focused on how many times the ball's passed, like you don't even realize that a gorilla comes walking into the middle of the circle, middle of the scene, right in front of the camera, gestures and walks off. It's so interesting. So it's like we can get our brains focused in one specific thing, and we miss so much possibility. We get our brains focused on like scarcity, on like what we have to do, and we start to lose. We get micro focused, like we're zoomed in on this one little thing, and we miss all of the possibility that exists that we could be living in, and what's really available to us, and what we would really love. And so the opportunity is really to begin to train your brain to get in these spaces where there's possibility. And there are so many cool statistics around this that I wish I could tell you. But really fascinating stuff. Just the way that the brain works, there's like a natural opioid release when you get into this place of possibility in your brain. It's almost like a drug. It's pretty cool. It just makes you feel a lot more calm. So that's fun. And then it also releases dopamine. Fascinating stuff in the brain science side of things. But when you give yourself this space and you set aside time to just get into those places of like, what is possible? I mean, that's why a lot of people do coaching, because it sets time aside weekly or however they have it set up with their coach, however often. But for me, with my clients, it's weekly. It gives them time every single week where they're centering back in on these places of like what's possible and breaking out of what is hard to do on your own and live in this like realization of the things that really you feel so made for, the things that you really want. And we do it with my clients. I do it in every area of life. I have 8 areas. I use a life wheel, and we go around and we get really clear about where you're currently at and where you want to be in all of these areas. But this particular series that we're in right now, we're kind of on the abundance and finance piece of the life wheel. And just looking at how can you use your brain, how can you train it? And I remember teaching my kids this when they were little, that training your brain is a lot like training a pet. You know, like we had like pets or whatever, and you just like, you know, when your mind starts to wander, it's just like, it's not bad, it's not wrong, it's just like the little puppy dog wandering off, and you just get it and bring it back over where he gets to be right now and focus his attention and have him sit down. It's like we have the ability to train our brains far more than we realize. We just think that our brains are going to do whatever they're going to do, but we can train them into focusing on things like possibility, like gratitude, like the things that we really want to have in life. And we get clear about what those are. It's amazing how your brain works for you. It focuses on what it thinks you feel is most important. So if you're constantly in environments that complaining is important and looking for ways that people are wrong, like your brain will steer you into seeing that all over the place. If you look for things that you're grateful for, that light you up, if you're looking for what it is that you have determined I am creating in my life in all of these different areas, but let's just talk about abundance right now. If you are like, this is what I think is possible, at least, you know, for the next 90 days, here's what I think I can steer into, here's what I think I could begin creating, whether it's paying down debt, whether it's saving for something, whether it's investing, whether it's having like a specific goal. Like I have one client who's like, I just need to get an extra this much to pay this web designer because I want to get going with my web design. They're starting a business, and so she's got a number in her mind, and she's like, okay, we're going to create that on top of, you know, some of the other things she already has lined up. Here's an extra whatever I need to get set aside so that I can get going on my web. So things like that, when you have a clear number in your mind and you're like, okay, here's how much I have earned toward that thing. You're like, okay, here's all that's in the gap. I just need $500 more or whatever it is. And you have a number, your brain's like, okay, how can we get $500? How can we get $500? Whatever it is that, like if you have a car that breaks down, you're like, I need to get my car fixed. Here's what it's going to take. And your brain gets to work on, oh, I have this thing over here that I never use. I might as well sell this. Or I could do this thing and earn an extra whatever. You know, your brain will get on it for you if it's clear on what it is you want. So my encouragement to you today is take some time to get really clear on 90 days out. Because having these small stints that are just focused, what is it that you want to create, and get in that place of like finger painting possibility. Know that you can train your brain just like a puppy dog, and you can bring it into this place of here's what we're up to, here's what we're creating, and we have got this. We can do this. Like brain, get to work scanning environments. You'll start seeing things on Facebook. You'll start noticing, you know, people. You'll hear conversations. You'll just have all of these synchronistic opportunities beginning to show up in your life when you get really clear on where it is you're going. So play in possibility. Get in that finger painting space of like anything's possible. And when you go there and you write down some things about what it is that you want to create in the next 90 days in regard to your abundance and finances, just you will be amazed. And I cannot wait to start hearing stories from you guys about what starts showing up for you. So do this exercise. Play Impossibility, what's possible in your finances in abundance for you in the next 90 days. Write it down and just start directing your attention toward it. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see what shows up. So blessings. Have fun with that. And I will see you guys again tomorrow. If you haven't heard it yet today, you are a gift. A true treasure and a gift to the world. The world needs what it is that is in you in a way that only you can bring. So blessings. We'll see you tomorrow.